Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So, today, I'm not sure what I'm gonna title this video, but I'm just gonna preface this with saying that these are pretty derpy looking doodles, and I didn't realize how derpy they looked until I actually started to paint them with gouache. So I decided to do a little bit of doodling of 17 from their recent Going 17 episode. So this one's, I think it's called Infinite Going 17 or something like that. It's like number 1. I think it's like the 3rd episode of 2022's Going 17. And if you don't know what Going 17 is, so basically there's a K-pop group called 17 and they have kind of their own like variety show on YouTube, and it's called Going 17. And it used to be more like vlog style of behind the scenes, concerts and like all that stuff, but it kind of devolved into more like variety show and entertainment rather than just like behind the scenes. And this episode's quite absurd in terms of like the theme of it. I don't want to spoil it, so we're just gonna look at the general gist of what I just doodled. So from the doodles, I guess I'll explain them one by one as I'm painting them. So the first one that you guys are seeing is the one of Wonu. Now, the reason why I'm calling all of these derpy is that there's a lot of things wrong, like anatomically. Wonu's face is really small and thin near the bottom, so he looks a little bit weird, and I think the reason being is like I'm not really precious with my doodles in terms of doing them with like markers, and that's what I was initially going to do, but instead, because how to explain this, I was gonna do a different thing on the same day that I doodled this, but because I needed to use my computer and my iPad for something else, I wasn't able to, but I was able to record a painting session more easily, so I decided that maybe I'll just do a painting session. I wasn't sure if doing like, is it like 4 marker doodling videos for Sketchbook Doodles might be a little bit too much. I think next week will be a marker doodling video. Why can't I speak? A marker doodling video, because I actually decided to buy the markers, and I'm gonna show you guys which ones I got, and we'll do like maybe a couple of spreads with them because I'm actually super excited to try them out. I think they come tomorrow. I filmed this on Wednesday. I filmed this on Wednesday. I forgot. I streamed on Thursday, so I filmed this on Wednesday. You guys are seeing this on Monday. So yeah, so the one that I'm painting is of Wonu, and it's just him saying like he's feeling cold. None of these dialogue flow with one another, so there's no issue with that. And I picked kind of like obscured quotes, I guess, if that makes sense. I actually ended up doodling more of 17 stuff later on, but it's not in my sketchbook, so if I manage to finish the ones on my iPad before I upload this and render this video, then I'll stick it in right here. But if I don't, then yeah, I feel like I've been kind of like stuck in a rut a little bit. I think it might be kind of like the aftermath of also being burnt out. But there's one thing I really missed was actually drawing 17. I remember seeing a comment that they wish I drew more 17, and I definitely miss drawing 17 a lot. I feel like for some reason, I equate drawing 17 with my chibi drawings because that's what I mostly did, especially like the first few years as a carrot, and when there was like less carrot fan artists, I felt more dedicated to drawing chibi stuff because there's less of it. But now I've kind of like expanded more into drawing less chibi stuff that I haven't really been drawing 17 as much, except for like, you know, some doodles here and there, but I never post them because I kind of just treat them for myself. But I would like to get back into the swing of things. I do think like chibi work sometimes is a little bit quicker for me, so maybe I should do that, because I can just pump them out, because sometimes there's moments that I really like, but I only can have maybe like 2 hours to draw something, but it's never enough. And like a lot of the drawings that I do, I tend to abandon. So let's actually talk about process, because I don't think I did that. So like I said, I first did the sketch for a marker doodling session, so which means that I sketched it out with the Pilot Color ENO in the colored pink. I then swapped over and decided to do it with gouache, so I needed to prep it a little bit differently. So I decided to take my Kneaded Eraser, lighten up my sketch, and then go over it with, I think it's just the like a normal graphite pencil, like a number number 2, if not an HB, I think 2B or HB, whatever is my current lead type inside my mechanical pencil. But that's what I'm doing, because when I do my watercolor washes, which is the next step, it's just making sure that like my sketch doesn't dissolve into the water, because the palette Color ENO does dissolve with water. And then after that, I decided to use the HIMI gouache to do the painting portion, which I haven't done in a while, so I definitely feel rusty. But I'm also not doing myself a lot of favors when I paint with gouache, especially when I'm doing kind of like a larger spread like this. And I think it's because like in the past, whenever I did like gouache doodles or gouache painting with my doodles, it's like only 2 out of like the several doodles on the spread, and it's because I'm really lazy when it comes to painting like traditionally with gouache, because there's a lot of like reactivating and layering and then mixing of colors that I become super lazy. So I often don't clean my brush properly when I'm picking up new colors. So I tend to do the skin first, because most likely if I'm working with the skin tone, I'm trying to make sure to keep the skin tone just clean and just like a nice color at that point, because I don't want to accidentally pick up other colors. But then when I'm working on like clothing and hair, I don't mind adding other tones like blues, greens and stuff, because sometimes if you add blue and green to the skin tone, it looks a little weird. Like I think it's just because like for me, I like working with like a warmer skin tone, so it's like regardless of the, I don't know how to explain this. Yeah, I just feel like adding too much green to the skin tone kind of makes it look a little bit weird. And because I'm working with like a lot of the darker colors, like a lot of blues, and sometimes I just pick up whatever's on my palette. A lot of the time I end up with like either brown or green, so I try to neutralize it a little bit by picking up some other colors. But I'm just like building up color on my brush rather than cleaning it, which isn't good. And I should probably go back and use 2 jars again instead of using the 1. I think after I did the Wonu doodle, so now I'm working on Woozy, and this is like the ending part of the episode where he's like a little disappointed that no one's listening to him, because he's the MC for this episode. But yeah, I was only using 1 jar when I was working on Wonu and the Woozy doodle, and then later on I will grab a second one because I realized how much black is in the spread, because when they were filming the Going 17 for this episode, they were wearing like puffer jackets, and just like a lot of them were, well, I think like 9 of them maybe, no, 11 of them, no, 9 of them, because June and D8 were not there. So 9 of them were like wearing these big black puffer jackets, and then I think Woozy and Hoshi were one of the only ones, no, I guess Josh too, so 8 of them weren't. So 3 of them were not wearing like puffer jackets. They were wearing just whatever jackets on top, because apparently they were filming it in autumn, I think, if not winter. But yeah, because of that, there's a lot of black on this spread, so I was trying to keep my paint that I am trying to clean off my brush into 1 jar of water, and then the other one is for like clean mixing and stuff. So yeah, I tried my best to keep it like that, but like I said, I got very lazy. I also got interrupted several times, so I wasn't having a great day to just, you know, sit down and paint for 2 hours. I think I ended up painting for like 1 hour and 40 minutes for the whole spread. Felt like 3 hours, but it probably is because I was like constantly getting interrupted by phone calls and stuff, and I had to leave in a little bit. So yeah, maybe next time I'll do like a proper one where I can actually just focus on trying to get things to look correct in terms of like the tone, and the faces look a little less derpy, like Channy's mouth, which is who we're working on now. So for Dino or Chan, yeah, I don't have much to say. I just don't really like how I drew his face in general, so kind of sad. I think my sketches with the Pilot Color ENO looked a lot cuter. Probably when I decided to clean up the sketches and do like just the line work with the graphite pencil or just the mechanical pencil, I kind of derpified them because I was sketching a lot faster and thinking that I was picking the correct lines. I usually don't mind if my doodles look that like weird if they're the marker doodles, because they're really just like quick, really fast, and just, you know, for fun. But then for gouache, I wanted to make these look a little bit more finished, and they don't really look that finished. I think Wonu is probably the closest to looking the most finished, but I think I also had the most fun just painting him because he was the first one I painted, as well as like the hair color. It was just perfect for me to play around with. So yeah, what else to talk about? My brain's like super scattered, my nose is stuffy. I actually don't know if you guys can hear it. I'm feeling congested lately, and I don't know if it's because the weather keeps changing temperature or if I have hay fever or something. I do not know. All I know is my sinuses have going haywire for the last few days. Let me think. I don't know what else there is to talk about. Okay, let's talk about gouache for a little bit, I guess. So usually I actually really enjoy using gouache. I have half the mind after I finish the sketchbook to use the sketchbook that I got from Tricky Wagon's shop, because like I said, this is a notebook and I'm treating it as a sketchbook because it does have blank pages. And as much as I do love the smooth paper and that the fact that I can use this one for a lot of like graphite drawing and stuff, it just really fits with it. But if I ever want to do like painting, I'm kind of deterred from it a little bit because the amount of buckling and the way that paint sits on this paper is not the greatest. It's not the worst. There's just some days I get good like watercolor washes on my doodles. There's like a couple of spreads I got some good ones, so maybe it's just my application rather than the paper, so I'm probably just using that as an excuse. But I'm just wondering if I want to get more into gouache again. Maybe I should use my Tricky Wagon one because it has like that nice smooth thick paper. We'll see because yeah, some of these doodles I think, yeah, they're cute. In terms of progress, I only have a little bit, like a little chunk left of my sketchbook. Should I count it? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I have like 21-ish pages, which just probably means that I have just basically like 21 spreads left. So still quite a few left, but I am definitely past 3/4, which is really nice. I also treated Channy's with the derp eyes that I tend to do, which is like a white circle in the very center, really simple. And I just think it helped with making him look like a little bit more alarmed. Okay, so this doodle is of Jonghan and Woozi. I drew Jonghan so dang derpy, but because of I squished Woozi into the frame, because the way how I drew this, I drew the Woozi in like the second one that I painted, the Woozi down below, and then I drew I think Wonu, and then I drew Channy, and then I drew Jonghan and Woozi together. And because I did it in that order, Woozi got so squished, but I was so determined to make him fit in that little slot that I drew him super derpy. I'm just gonna look on my iPad because I think I did a better job doodling them, because the way how I drew Jonghan kind of wiping the sweat off of Woozi, which is what he's supposed to be doing, but it looks like he's like knocking on his head, like knock knock, is anyone in there kind of deal. But my doodle that I have on my iPad looks like he's kind of wiping his face, which looks a little bit better. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do a few more doodles probably tonight of 17. I just like revisiting episodes. I have half the mind to do maybe like a doodling session or something of revisiting what is it called, One Fine Day for 17. There's some really cute moments in there that I really want to redraw, and I think it'd be fun to revisit the episodes and stuff, and I think it'd just be fun to draw them and maybe take you guys along with me. I don't know if I want to do that as a like ASMR just drawing session, a normal sketch with me, or like a Sketchbook Doodles video. Who knows, maybe I'll do that for next week's Sketchbook Doodles video, or maybe I'll do it on my own time. Who knows, maybe I'll just do it by myself. But yeah, in terms of 17 stuff, I want to do more. I definitely want to do more. I know a lot of you guys who've watched me for I think from a longer time like a lot of my past videos, I did like so much 17 content, but it's definitely dwindled down a little bit just because of lack of time. And now that I am going to be attending a convention in May, as long as things look okay. But if things don't, then I probably won't attend. I'll just like suck it up and try to get a refund. If not, I'll just suck it up and just waste my table, I guess. But that's only because I rather stay safe than to table at a convention and have the possibility of getting you know what, then might be a problem. But because of that, I'm trying my best to draw fan art of the stuff that I really enjoy, just because I would like to have a bigger range at my table. I think a couple of years ago I had more interests in terms of what I could draw because I was consuming a lot of like anime. Like I drew Demon Slayer stuff, I drew Fire Emblem, I drew, what else was there, 17. I even had some other K-pop groups. I had, what else did I have? BNHA, I had Mob Psycho, I had Promised Neverland. I think that's it. But I was trying to get like a bigger range at that time, and what sold out the most was Fire Emblem, just because I was like one of the only people who had Three Houses stuff out at that time for that convention. There was like maybe 3 artists that had like a significant amount of stuff, because the game released only a few days prior to the convention, but because I print and cut my own stickers, it was a little bit easier for me to have merch on hand. But for this year, I feel like I don't want to go all out because this convention is a little bit of a smaller one, and I don't really remember the amount of attendance for this convention, but I'm gonna do my best to get everything on board. I would like to have more VTuber stuff. Obviously Genshin will be there. I don't know, I need to do some updates on stuff like Fire Emblem and maybe my Fate Grand Order stuff as well. We'll see what happens. But yeah, in terms of the drawing, I don't like how I drew Jonghan. I forgot to also paint his teeth in, so he has like a lot of pinkish red bleeding from there. Oh, I forgot about this. So I'm really bad with painting with gouache to get accuracy, so I did not want to do the text with gouache. I think it's just a lot harder for me, and the consistency just doesn't really like the paper that much if I water it down a lot, so I decided to do that with the Magicfly markers, and then later on I'll just take a black kind of needlepoint pen to do the outlining so that the lettering and stuff can stand out. You can see that on No, there's like a black line on the left side, and that's because I decided to try using a Sharpie and it bled through quite easily, so I don't want to have that for the other side of the page, so I decided to go with a needlepoint pen because I know this one has very little bleed through, if any. So yeah. Before we wrap up today, yeah, I think that's it. Next week will be hopefully another Sketchbook Doodles video where I'm playing around with markers, and hopefully it's the other new markers that I want to show you guys, because I would like to test them out with you guys, because a lot of them were like suggestions from you guys. I did buy 2 different sets, so I'm actually very excited to try them out. Hope you enjoyed today's kind of derpy doodle spread for Sketchbook Doodles video today. You can see that on the other side there was a little bit of wrinkling and stuff, and I put a sheet in between to keep it safe. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!